Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Tuesday, December 1st, and I'm Blair Kirchhoff. We knew we were going to have a sporting Kansas City conversation with Shaun Goodwin today about the team's upcoming playoff game against Minnesota United. We didn't know the game would move on us as the podcast was coming together, but that's what's happened. The game is now on Thursday night at 7:30 on Fox because Fox lost its NFL game Thursday night. It was going to be the Ravens-Cowboys, but with all the COVID problems that the Ravens are having, they had to shift that game off of Thursday night, and Sporting Kansas City will fill that slot. So you'll now have a couple of days to hear Shaun and I chat about the previous Sporting playoff victory over San Jose, the return of Alan Pulido for the upcoming game, and I wrangle a prediction from Shaun. After a break, you'll hear from Sporting KC manager Peter Vermes. So let's get started talking Sporting Kansas City with Shaun Goodwin. Okay, Shaun, the 11:45 press conference that was rescheduled for 12:30 and then finally started at 12:50 for Sporting Kansas City and manager Peter Vermes is over, and we're recording this on Monday, of course. So there was some news that came out. It came out about 25 minutes into Peter Vermes' press conference. Why don't you tell us what the MLS announcement was about?
Yeah, it means a lot of us are now changing our schedules, but essentially the Sporting KC Minnesota game, which was scheduled for Wednesday, is now being pushed back to Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Central. And that would be because, obviously, with the NFL, they've now moved the Ravens-Steelers game to a Wednesday slot, and essentially they want to. I don't believe NFL has a game on this Thursday, correct? Am I right?
Well, what happened was because the Steelers-Ravens game got pushed from last week into this week, from Thanksgiving night into this week, the Ravens were supposed to play on Thursday night against the Cowboys, so the Ravens couldn't play that game because the Steelers game was rescheduled for tonight, Tuesday. And so, anyway, Fox ended up with a hole on its Thursday evening schedule, and they have replaced the NFL spot with Sporting Kansas City and Minnesota, the MLS quarterfinal game. So that's going to be incredible exposure for Sporting Kansas City to be on a network on Thursday night when people are usually turning into the NFL. So that's that part I think is great. I'm sure Sporting Kansas City doesn't mind having another couple days to prepare. The problem, of course, is the winner of Sporting Kansas City and Minnesota will have just a really quick turnaround for the what amounts to the Western Conference Final.
Yeah, it's already the fact that the number one seed being Sporting was playing a day later anyway, because obviously the other Western Conference game is being played between Dallas and Seattle on Tuesday. So already the fact that they were getting an extra day of rest and the one seed wasn't, it was a bit but it is what it is. It happens. But now we're basically looking at, as you said, it's Seattle Dallas play on Tuesday. They'll have an extra 2 days of rest before the rescheduled Western Conference final on December 7th, whether that is Sporting or Minnesota. So it's a tricky situation for Sporting KC and Minnesota, and Peter was saying that it's great that you've got the exposure, and I'm sure they're going to put on a brave face, but behind the scenes, I'm sure they're not overly pleased at the lack of rest.
Right. No, I'm sure that in Peter's office and in the coaching staff offices, they not happy about this development, but it is what it is. Look, every sport has had to make adjustments for COVID-19. NFL, college football, we're seeing it in college basketball now for sure, and now MLS which started season in the bubble, the MLS is back tournament, and now they're into December, and looks like they're gonna get their playoff in and a championship named, and Sporting Kansas City is still part of the conversation because of an incredible game. Before we look ahead, I do want to take a couple minutes and look behind at that just incredible game against the San Jose Earthquakes last in the playoff opener. Talk about a roller coaster of emotion in that game. It was the number 1 seed against the number 8 seed, but I couldn't tell, a bit of difference between those two teams until the shootout.
Until the shootout, and before I go into this, I have to apologise if you hear my cat in the background. I've made a mistake of not kicking him out, and he keeps meowing. So
what's the cat's name?
Bandit.
Bandit the cat. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's just the three of us on the podcast. That's great.
But no, the San Jose game, and I know we spoke a little bit last week, Blake, just about how San Jose isn't a true 8 seed, just because of things like the strength of schedule, and they were stuck playing Portland and LAFC and Seattle and whatnot all season, just being more of a regional team for them. And I think we saw that, and it wasn't a typical 8 seed game, and I think we've seen it around the playoffs, especially with this single elimination. Even though team can be the highest seed and have home field advantage, just single elimination means that an off game or a really good game for the lower seeds, and the lower seeds go on advancing, and we almost saw that with San Jose until, as you said, the penalties. And I don't think I've had to rewrite a game as many times as I did with that game. It was a roller coaster for everyone involved, and I think once we got to penalties, I started, making my final touches as if Sporting KC had won, because we all know in this town, this city, what Tim Melia is like on penalties.
I mean, how many soccer games have ended with a 3-0 penalty kick score? That's impossible. It's just impossible for him to stop all 3 San Jose kicks. I just have never seen that, and it is really we've talked about it before. That is his strength, and it is a heck of a strength to possess. Yeah. And as the game was going, as the second overtime period was winding down, I was thinking, God, just don't knock one in here, San Jose, because if they can get to the penalty kicks, this is going to be Sporting's.
Yeah, I mean, just real quick as well, you say how many penalty shootouts have finished 3-0. I mean, I'm sure across the world in an obscure Slovakian fourth. But when it comes to MLS and MLS teams in American soccer, I believe the only other time it's happened was 2010, Charleston Battery versus the Chicago Fire. And you already know who was in goal for Charleston, don't you?
I don't. Tell me. Refresh my memory. Of course. Had to be. That's right.
It was, that specific penalty shootout, he didn't save all 3. I believe one of them hit the post or went wide. But I believe in US soccer history, that's the only other time a shootout, including an MLS team, has finished 3-0. And Tim Melia was the winger on both times.
Well, he has instincts on in this situation that other goalkeepers don't possess. He just does. I mean, it's more than just guessing right. He sees something. We talk about in other sports how the game slows down the more familiar you become with the sport, and I think that's what happens with him in goal kicks. I think things slow down, and he just maybe he sees a foot, a direction. Maybe he sees the eyes, or I don't know. But he reads minds pretty darn well when it comes to this. So.
Yeah, I mean, even just being as a forward back in my playing days, it's. As a penalty kick taker, it's a lot of trying to trick a goalkeeper with your eyes and your body language. But at the end of the day, it's incredibly tough to angle your body and eyes to the left and then shoot to the right. You have to make adjustments at some point. And I just think Tim is extremely good at noticing those adjustments at the last minute and diving the right way. And at times when he does get beat, it's because the penalty kick taker's done a really good job deceiving him rather than him just guessing one of the directions.
Right. Okay, it's on to Minnesota United. And an interesting series. I know you asked Peter Vermes about the nature of the competition between these two teams, and it's always been marketed as the nicest rivalry in sports. I liked Peter's answer to your question. It's a playoff. There ain't nothing nice about a playoff, basically, is what Peter Vermes said, and certainly Sporting Kansas City has not treated Minnesota like like a nice guest when coming to Children's Mercy. This has really been a series that Sporting has owned on its home field, but I don't know, for some reason I get the vibe that this is a kind of a toss-up game between these two teams. Am I reading that wrong, sensing it wrong?
Yeah, it's completely fair. I mean, at the end of the day, as I was saying before, not just as a playoffs, but it's now single elimination. And, as you said, Minnesota's never won at Children's Mercy Park, but usually all streaks have to come to an end at some point, right? And I'm not saying it's going to be this time around, but Bandit is beyond.
Weighing in, yeah, we got Bandit's perspective on this. I'm glad to get that.
But so Minnesota been on this winning streak now since I believe late September, and obviously there was a game that was cancelled because of COVID, so they had a little bit of a break, and one of those games was against Sporting KC. But yeah, I know. But as a whole, this again, it could just be like the San Jose game where it's deceiving, and going back to just a rivalry. It's certainly not friendly in any way, shape, or form.
So where did we hear Peter get the idea that Sporting Kansas City was an underdog in this game? I know we're playing some mind games here, and coaches do this all the time. But he's pretty convinced that the Minnesota United's coming down as the favorite in this game.
Yeah, that surprised me. I mean, literally as we were heading to the press conference, I'm trying to scroll down my tweet deck now, but here we go. Yeah, I saw that. Technically, I think going by Vegas at least, both Seattle and Sporting KC are heavy favourites to reach the Western Conference Finals, and I'm not going to lie, I'm not much of a betting man. At least with the American way of things, I can do like 4-1, 6-1 odds, but the odds I'm seeing has Sporting KC at negative 162 and Minnesota plus 425. So
that's healthy. That's a healthy advantage for the favorite there.
So I don't know a whole lot, but I know that is a healthy advantage. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure who he's been listening to, where he's been hearing this. Maybe he's just makes like mind games, or it reminds me of Michael Jordan, how he just make up stories to annoy other players and to hype himself up. So might be a similar thing.
Yep, selective audience for Peter Vermes here. So a lot of it, I think, in maybe the minds of Sporting Kansas City fans might depend on the availability of Alan Pulido. He was sitting in the stands for the San Jose game. He will be available for Minnesota. And is it a matter of whether he starts or subs, or do you expect him to play a lengthy stretch against Minnesota United?
I'm expecting at this point, Scott, he should play a lengthy stretch, if not the full 90. I mean, the guy is irreplaceable at the end of the day, and I was honestly a little bit surprised to not see him at least being a lineup against San Jose. Whether that was, I thought maybe just giving him that extra little bit of rest, waiting until later in the playoffs, and didn't want to push him back too early. So when he's injured later on through the more important games, but I feel like we're now getting to that point where he should be fully healthy as far as we're aware. Peter has said he's available. And this should be the game, especially as we know how close games between SKC and Minnesota are, that a guy of Pulido's talents could be the difference.
Right. Okay. Hey, before we say bid farewell to you and Bandit, do you have a score? What do you think? What's going to happen on Thursday night?
It's definitely going to be a one-goal game. Like every single game between the two teams this season, actually, it's been 2-1 every single time. So I'm going to flip the switch here. Well, not flip the switch. I'm going to go with the trend and say, you know what, let's make it 4 in a row. I'll say 2-1 Sporting. It might go to extra time. But I think with the home crowd and, with it being a playoffs and whatnot, I think Sporting will be able to pull through and prevail with a 2-1 victory.
And I think Pulido's a difference maker in a game like this as well. I think that it could all depend on whether, how much he plays, how he plays, any lingering effects of the injury. But I think he's that much of a difference maker, and it'll be fun to see a national television audience on Fox on Thursday night, 7:30, I believe, is the kickoff time. So
7:30.
Okay, Shaun, great catching up, and we're going to take a break. When you come back, you'll hear from Peter Vermes. Hey, it's Blair. We have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Stars' award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns presented on the kansascity.com site, and it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. Your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star, and that support has never been more important. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening.
Hi, Peter. Minnesota has never won down there. This whole notion of blue hell, how much of that is your supporters, the stadium itself, or just the fact that you guys have really good teams year after year?
It's probably all the above. It's never one thing, but we've always had really good games against them. Every game is always good. So I'm not one to look at things like that, because I think every team and every game is always different. Even within a season, teams change. The day of the game is always different, and I've always been under the opinion, especially in our league, because of so much parity, that any team can beat any team in any given day. So that's why I think when you get into situations like we're currently in, this is, I think the only difference here is that we're not traveling. That's the difference. It's not as if teams have to go into other people's places right now and deal with fans and all of those types of things. It's a different animal. So I don't think that home field advantage gives you anything other than the fact that you get to sleep at home. You don't have to travel. And even the travel has been mitigated with the way that we're doing our charter flights. I think that works really well for a lot of us, and especially this short distance that they are coming and we've gone there. It's not a tough haul for any team. So I don't see really any of the advantages other than like I said, in your own bed. The last thing I would say is that when you look at the playoffs and the way they are, all these games that you play once you enter the playoffs, they're finals. They're 1-game finals, and you have to be prepared, to give your best and receive the best from somebody else. And so you have to be on top of your game if you're going to move on.
Next question goes to Ali Trost with Sports Radio 810 WHB. Ali, your line is open.
Coach, although you guys have played this Minnesota team a number of times this season, your last matchup with them did get canceled. What's the advantage or disadvantage there, given that Emmanuel Reynoso had been getting more time? They had Kai Kamara. Do you feel that you were at a disadvantage not getting to play them that one last time?
No, I mean, it could have been. We could talk about all the things that could or couldn't have been, whether you win, tie, or draw or lose, regarding the standings and everything else. Don't know. At the end, we played them before. We've watched them play. I think both teams kind of know each other pretty well. I think they're actually in a good place, as was stated already. They're in good form. And we know how dangerous they can be, and how competitive they are. And so, look, we'll have to be at our best if we're able to achieve success against them, because they're a very, very good team. It's why they're favored to win.
Our next question will go to Tom Bogert with MLSsoccer.com. Tom, your line is open.
Hey, Peter. Just wanted to see what the update was, if there's an update rather, on Alan Pulido, and kind of following off on what you just said. Were you saying that Minnesota are favored to win, or did I mishear that?
Well, that's what pundits are saying, so I'm going with what they say. That's what I hear. That's what I see. So in regards to our team, everybody's available for selection except for Zusi, Gutierrez, and Matt Beasler at this moment. Matt's close. Matt's the closest one of those three guys. He's still dealing with his concussion, but he's definitely a lot closer than he has been.
Our next question will go to Katia Castorena with ESPN Deportes. Katia, your line is open.
Thank you. Hello, Peter. On that same line, in terms of Alan's status, you decided to not include him last game. And how crucial is to have him at his best at this stage? And how close do you see him getting to that?
Yeah, you don't replace him. He's a special player within our team. It's as you all know, it was a big objective of ours last season to add him to the team, and so you don't replace him. This is the important time. This is what you fight all year long to get to have those players be in your team and help you along the way. And so that's why we do what we do. The only thing I would say is that it's the same thing I said last week. The thing that I'm always going to be, and whether it's Alan Pulido or any other player on our team, it doesn't matter who it is, I'm always going to be very cautious when it comes to making the decision of whether or not they should be a part of the team, whether they should substitute onto the field, or whether they should start in a game based on what their health is. I don't ever want to put a player in a position, I never have and never will, where they are not prepared to go and play from a physical perspective. And when you make those decisions, it's not just me, it's medical staff, it's also the player involved. And if the one thing about Alan, where the difference is that if Alan was 20 years old and he just came to our club, it would be a difficult decision on how I would make my decision with him, because I probably wouldn't have had enough experience with him, and he also wouldn't have had, being so young if he was 20, not knowing how to deal with injuries and whether he should play or he shouldn't play or what have you. Whereas when a guy is his age, 28, and a seasoned veteran like he is, I can sit down and have a good discussion with him, along with medical staff and everyone else, and make a decision, because I feel that the player has, a lot of experience and is always going to be honest about where he is physically, for himself, for the team, for all of it. So it's the one thing that I feel very confident in with Alan, just because his age and his experience. At the same time, I'm always going to probably err towards the side of always being conservative in situations like this. That's why last week he wasn't a part of the team. This week probably different, just because he's progressed incredibly well.
Next question goes to Shaun Goodwin with the Kansas City Star. Shaun, your line is open.
Peter, over the last couple of years now, there's been this whole thing on social media about this being a friendliest rivalry in sports, but, blocks of close games and how many times you guys have played. Is there anything friendly about this game anymore? And can you just maybe speak a little bit about this rivalry?
It's always been my opinion that there's anytime you're playing a game, at least my perspective, there is no such thing as a friendly. I just don't know what that is. At the end of the day, these guys are all professionals. The staffs are as well. We compete, but we have a tremendous amount of respect, for their team, for their club, for their staff, for everyone. And I think it's I don't know what. All I know is it's a playoff game, and that's what we're playing. We want to win, just like if it was a league game or anything else. And I'm sure they feel the same exact way.
Our next question goes to Tyler Jones with KLWN. Tyler, your line is open.
Hey, Peter, you mentioned you guys being an underdog going into this game against Minnesota. What's been kind of your message to your team? Are you guys going to have a chip on your shoulder of sorts here?
Look, I think for a lot of respect during the season or this year, we have been exactly that. And I don't know if there's a chip on our shoulder or not. I think at the end, the guys have been very disciplined and very committed to trying to be successful this season. I think the motivation of that is probably what drives the group. And I think that's where it is. It's look, and this is not taking anything away from Minnesota. They're a very good team. And so, look, we weren't in the playoffs last year, and rightfully so. I think that there's people that doubt us. They doubted us making the playoffs, I'm sure, this year. They doubted us as we were the number one seed. We won the division. And that's okay. And I understand that I've been doing this too long, both as a player and as a manager, and I just know how it is. And I think the bottom line is that for us, we got to stay committed and focused to us and how we want to go about our approach. And I think that the guys are in a good place.
That'll do it for today. Thanks to our production staff of Derek Donovan, Randy Mason, Beth Welsh, Jeff Rosen, Chris Pickett, and Savannah Smith. Tip of the cap to Shaun Goodwin for stopping by and talking sporting Kansas City. Links to his stories can be found in the show notes and on kansascity.com. Hey, we've got another deal for you, especially for those who want to deep dive into the Stars' terrific Chiefs coverage. For a limited time, you can subscribe to Sports Pass for 99 cents a month. That's right, 99 pennies a month. After 3 months, it auto-renews at $5.99 a month unless you cancel. How do you get it? You go to kansascity.com/SportsPass2020. That's kansascity.com/SportsPass2020. You want more than just sports coverage? I know I do. Check out the entire Kansas City Star product, sports news, features, commentary, and analysis, the whole thing. You get all the stories written by my talented colleagues, plus additional news, sports, and business coverage with the e-edition. The details for all of these deals can be found at account.kansascity.com/subscribe. If you're having trouble hunting down any of these offers, send me an email, bkirkhoff@kcstar.com. I will get you to the right place. So whether it's the Sports Pass or the full subscription, you're getting and supporting the best sports and news coverage in Kansas City and helping us produce programs like SportsBeat KC. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back on Wednesday with another episode.